Today, Governor Moore will be issuing a comprehensive executive order on climate change. The executive order is entitled Leadership by State Government Implementing Maryland's Climate Pollution Reduction Plan. So today is such an important step forward for all of us here today who care so much about Maryland continuing to be a leader in addressing the climate crisis. To provide more details on the climate executive order, I have the extreme honor of introducing our first speaker. He has a bold vision of making Maryland a leader in clean energy and the greenest state in the country. The 63rd governor of the state of Maryland, Governor Wes Moore.
Thanks, y'all. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, y'all. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Y'all are so beautiful. Please take a seat, y'all. Good afternoon. This is such a great day. It's such a great day for the city. It is such a great day for the state. It is such a great day for all of us. And it's only appropriate that each and every one of you are here. I'm so grateful to be here with all of our partners. And first, can we please give it up for our state's first Chief Sustainability Officer, Megan Compton. Megan, God bless you and thank you. Thank you for your leadership. And this is great when you see how important this is to the Moore-Miller administration. When you see, like, almost all of our cabinet is here as well. I'm so thankful to have a chance to call each and every one of these individuals, colleagues and partners inside this work, to all the members of the Moore-Miller administration. God bless you guys, and thank you so much for all you continue to do for all of us. And to be here with all of our educators. And Madam Superintendent, I just want to say your leadership and your contribution continues to be just absolutely outstanding. And so thank you for your leadership and for being here today. To all of our business leaders, to all of our community leaders, to city leaders and members of the General Assembly, I tell you, this delegation is just so lights out. Baltimore is so lucky to have the representation that we have. And importantly, for all of our climate champions, for the people who've been doing the work, for the people who've been reminding people why this work is so important, for the people who haven't stopped and keep on pushing because the issues demand action. And I can't think of a more appropriate place to be able to sign this important executive order than here at Henderson Hopkins. This place is extraordinary. And I got to tell you, for all the students who I had a chance to see earlier, all the students I had a chance to meet, who were telling me that they wanted to be teachers and one wanted to be the President of the United States. And I told them I'm a great campaigner. I'll campaign for her anytime she's ready. Just call me up. It's exciting because this is a place that doesn't just talk about its importance. There's a reason we chose here. Because they're leading on it. The reason that it was important to be in front of these students is not just simply because when people say, well, we're fighting for their future. They're fighting for their own. They're already doing the work. And you see the work that's taking place here. You see the work that's taking place with Solar for Us. This is an institution, this is a school. And Peter, I just want to say thank you for your leadership here as the principal over at Henderson Hopkins. You all are doing remarkable work. This is a place that's not waiting for us to act. They're not waiting for us to take this seriously. They're acting. And they're taking it seriously. And you think about the work that's taking place here. You think about what Solar for Us means. It means when they say that we are just going to take leadership, and this project alone, the Solar for Us project, this is a project that is going to help reduce energy costs for families in Baltimore City, and by the way, help us to create jobs and apprenticeship platforms here in the city and for all of Marylanders. They're not waiting. They're acting. And Solar for Us reminds us that climate action is about much more than just avoiding disaster. That climate action, that we cannot just talk about climate action in the realm of what are we doing to avoid catastrophe. It's also about what are we doing to unleash opportunities. Because we cannot ask people to get involved and get active in this work around climate justice by just simply telling them that they need to see themselves in the consequence of an action. They need to see themselves as the beneficiaries of action. And the work and why this matters is, yes, it is going to empower individuals, it is going to empower communities, but also it is about how to create these pathways to work and wages and wealth for everybody in our state and not just some. We cannot have a climate revolution that actually expands the wealth gap. We cannot have a climate revolution that leaves people behind. This is about how we asking our entire community to be involved, to be engaged, and to take leadership in helping to solve the challenges of today and turn them into the promise of tomorrow. And that is exactly why we are here. It's exactly what's happening at Henderson Hopkins, and it's exactly what we are celebrating in this moment. That this is a chance for us to do it and to see what right looks like. And so in a few moments, I'm very proud that I will sign one of the most comprehensive executive orders on climate of any governor in Maryland's history. And this executive order is going to be grounded in 3 principles. The first is that addressing the climate crisis cannot be the work of a single department. We must and we will move in partnership. Today's order calls on every single state agency to submit a climate implementation plan. Not some, not many, every single state agency must submit a climate implementation plan. And each plan is going to center on how we can meet our goals of cutting emissions by 60% by 2031 and achieving net zero in our state by 2045. It is bold, it is ambitious, and Maryland, we're going to get it done, because that's what we do. These proposals must be submitted by every single state agency, because every single state agency is going to have a role to play and is going to have accountability measures that we must meet. The Department of Health is going to have a role to play. The Department of Emergency Management is going to have a role to play. The Department of Transportation is going to have a role to play. And the Department of the Environment, who's led remarkably by Secretary McElwain, the Department of the Environment will be the nerve center for this new whole-of-government approach to the way that we are addressing climate. Secretary McElwain and her team will submit an annual report directly to me on progress that each agency is making. And the Secretary will also chair a new subcabinet on climate, which will be vice-chaired by our Chief Sustainability Officer, Megan Conklin. This is a dream team, y'all. Second, we know that climate action cannot wait. And by the way, you know who told us that? The students from Henderson Hopkins. And I want to let them know we hear you. And we agree. If we want to protect our environment, if we want to grow opportunities, we need to take action now. And today's executive order will direct the Department of the Environment to propose new policies to reduce building emissions. The policies that I'm calling for include new zero-emission heating equipment standards, I'm going to say that again because I like that response. The policies I'm calling for will include new zero-emission heating equipment standards, so when Marylanders can heat up their buildings, they aren't contributing to greater emissions in the atmosphere. I am also directing the Maryland Energy Administration, and is he Paul? Paul Pinsky, a remarkable leader of MEA, to establish a framework to achieve 100% clean energy by 2035. It is bold, and we will get it done. And I'm directing the Maryland Department of Transportation. I told you this is full government. Our fantastic Secretary, Paul Wiedefeld, and his team to help us reduce greenhouse gas emissions by prioritizing clean transportation. People, we have to be committed to allowing people to go from where they live to where they work, from where they live to where they worship, from where they live to where they go to school, and we have to make sure we are building an infrastructure that when they do it, they are not also harming the environment in which they live in. And for everyday Marylanders, this means that we can focus on more jobs, greater opportunity, and fewer emissions. Yes, yes, and yes. Now, third, and I'm serious on this, we need to make sure that in this transition to clean energy, that we leave no one behind. This is not just a motto. For this administration, this is a governance philosophy. It's how we gauge our work. It's how we make decisions. And I believe the clean energy transition can help us to do big things. Like we can actually focus on a clean energy transition while also closing the racial wealth gap. That we can actually transition and have an energy transition while also creating pipelines and pathways for more people and for more young people to find themselves in that future. And that we can create a clean energy transition that can also help us to become a society that lives closer, that gets to know each other again, and that understands that we can actually build a society that those who came before us hoped for, and one that those who come after us, that they actually deserve. And that's why today's order ensures that the state of Maryland focuses on environmental justice and economic justice in all of our climate work. To be clear, climate justice is economic justice, if you're doing it right. And we are going to craft policies that actually reflects that mindset. So I know, and look, I get it. The climate crisis did not start overnight. And the climate crisis is not because of Maryland. But I also know this. It is going to take decisive action in order for us to get this work done. And I do know this, that if Maryland doesn't lead, we cannot ask anyone else to lead. We'll lead. Others will follow. It'll take time, but we'll get it done. We can and we will win inside this moment. You know, when we were having a conversation with the students earlier, I asked them, do they know what an heirloom is? And I said that an heirloom is something that's passed off from generation to generation. And sometimes it's a piece of jewelry, sometimes it's a note. But it's something that generation to generation gets a chance to accept something. And we only have one job with that heirloom. It's to protect it. It's to cherish it. It's to make sure that we don't abuse it. Make sure that we don't lose it. And make sure that the thing that you're going to pass off to the next generation, that it can be just a little bit more beautiful, a little bit brighter, and a little bit more cared for than even the way that you accepted it. That's the only job we have with heirlooms. That's our environment. It's our heirloom. We were talking earlier about the Chesapeake Bay. That's our heirloom. It didn't start with us. It was there when we were all born. Our job is to protect it. Our job is to make sure that the air is going to be a little bit cleaner for the next generation than the air in which we found it. That the water is going to be a little bit cleaner than the way that we found it. That our community is going to be a little bit more united than the way that we found it. This executive order helps us to protect our heirloom. Because this executive order reminds us that it's all of our responsibility to do the protecting. And together, we are going to pass something off more beautiful, more cared for, more protected than even the way that we found it. And it's simply because the students at Henderson Hopkins, that's what they asked us to do. So thank you to each and every one of you for being the change that we hope to see. It's our time, and we're not going to miss this moment. So I'm proud to turn the program over to our remarkable Chief Sustainability Officer, Megan Conklin.
Well, thank you, Governor Moore, for the inspiration. Next, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Maryland's Secretary of the Environment, and my beloved colleague, Serena McElwain. Under her leadership at Maryland's Department of the Environment, her agency released Maryland's Climate Pollution Reduction Plan. She was previously the Undersecretary at the California Environmental Protection Agency and has held several senior roles in the federal government.
Thank you, Governor Moore. Thank you, Megan, my colleague. Thank you all for being here today. It truly is an honor for me to be here with all of you to emphasize the significance of this executive order because it not only benefits Maryland's environment, it benefits Maryland's economy. And the governor said it very well. This executive order that the governor is signing today, it puts us on a clear path so that we can now begin to implement the Climate Pollution Reduction Plan, and this is a huge step in the right direction. We are more poised than ever before, and really starting to bring real progress toward securing and sustaining a healthy environment and future for all Marylanders. We're going to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and we are going to reach the governor's 100% clean energy goal by 2035, but we're going to do it as we usher in a new era for Maryland's economy. And this green transition will be done, well, first, the green transition, it is going to create a lot of jobs, over 27,000 jobs. And we are going to do it by prioritizing climate equity because no one will be left behind as we start transitioning into this green economy. There is no either or. I hear it all the time. We are creating a clean environment and a strong economy together. And I know that we can all do it because all of us who are here today are dedicated and we're all going to see it through. It is no secret that we are facing significant challenges with climate change. We see it every single day. Summers are hotter. Severe weather events, they continue. We're still seeing sea level rise. And we hardly see any snow. I miss the snow personally. I actually came back to Maryland for the snow. But anyway, increased flooding is still an issue. Asthma cases are rising, particularly in students in disadvantaged communities. All of this alone is really a reason for urgent action now. And this is why the executive order that's going to be signed today is so very important. I'll end with this. I see this executive order not just a call for action, but it is a vision for a brighter tomorrow. It calls upon all of us to unite all of our efforts and move toward a clean and prosperous tomorrow. And with the establishment of the new climate subcabinet that's outlined in the executive order, my colleagues and I, we are going to work together like we have never worked together before. We're going to be all hands on deck because together we are going to ensure that Maryland meet all of the climate goals for this state. And that's how government works, when you partner and you collaborate and you work together. So this one is for the children. It's for the grandchildren. This one is going to help us save our planet. It is also going to ensure that we have clean air and clean water to drink and enjoy. And it is also going to ensure that we are safe and resilient when it comes to climate change. And again, thank you, Governor, for your leadership and your vision. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Secretary McElwain. Next, I would like to introduce our next speaker, the gracious host of today's event, Henderson Hopkins Principal Peter Canham. Principal Canham has been the principal for Henderson Hopkins Schools since 2018. He is a longtime Baltimore City resident with 25 years of experience as an educator. As principal at Henderson Hopkins, he has made strides in school sustainability through the Solar for Us Community Solar Project, which is currently being installed at this school.
Thank you so much. Come on, you can give another round of applause. That's all right. How cool is this? My name's Peter Canham. I'm the proud principal of the amazing Henderson Hopkins, pre-K to 8, 700 students. And I mean, come on. We've got the governor, his cabinet, Dr. Santelises, our board. This is incredible. This is incredible. I am so thrilled. Before I begin, everyone needs to understand where you are. So, Elmer A. Henderson. Does anybody know? Elmer A. Henderson, the first African-American assistant superintendent in Baltimore City, and represents the very proud and historic East Baltimore community, which we serve. And then at Johns Hopkins Partnership School, our operator is Johns Hopkins. They're all in working with us to deliver a great school that our students deserve. So that's where you are. And it's so fitting. It is absolutely so fitting that we're here at Henderson Hopkins for a lot of the reasons Governor Moore kind of outlined. But our mission as a school is, come on, my students here, come on, who knows it? Unleash our students' joy and passion. I want them to have a great time when they're in school, while preparing them for academic success and fulfillment in a rapidly changing world. We talk about that. The world is changing. It's changing so fast. And what we're preparing our students, and Governor Moore met them today, is to be leaders, to have a voice, to share how they're going to create and make change. and today was just amazing. So I'm going to ask my climate action team to stand up and get a round of applause. Thank you. They went to Great Kids Farms, led by one of our amazing teachers, Miss May, and they started thinking about how they can make change. And let me tell you something, they unloaded on Governor Moore. They talked about what we need to do in the harbor, in the Chesapeake Bay, and they have really concrete ideas of what needs to happen, and that's what we all need to be working on. So I'm very proud of them. The Solar for Us project, Lynn and I have been working on this for quite some time. Close to 5 years by my clock, because what an idea. Let's use our roof, led by the EBC, the East Baltimore Community School Board, and we're here, our board chair here, Charles Allo is right here, also a parent, who the board took the lead in thinking of using our roof for solar panels, and then generating the power generated to help the community. The essence of a community school. Let's use this space to help others. And it's been remarkable how we've ushered this project in partnership with so many people. And I just have to have a list of thank yous because this project just doesn't happen. It aligns to who we are, and it just doesn't happen. First of all, the operator of this school is Johns Hopkins. We're joined by Dean Morphew from the School of Education. Thank you so much, and Johns Hopkins and President Daniels, huge supporters. Thank you so much. We have many board members, Cheryl Washington, others from the East Baltimore Community School Board who allowed our roof to be used for this project. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It keeps going. We got Dr. Santelises, the amazing leader of our school system, who's always a supporter and shows up for us and steps up for us. And then Lynn Heller from the Climate Access Fund, who allowed us to do this project together. This work is done in deep, deep partnership. And of course, I mean, our students and this school community is never going to forget the day the governor came to our school. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Governor. This is amazing. We're thrilled. This work is about leadership, and we're building student leaders to lead on these issues, Governor Moore. And it's also about concrete project. Talk is cheap, and we're making action together. So here's to a greener and cleaner Maryland. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you so much, Principal Canham. Next, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Lynn Heller. Lynn is the founder and CEO of the Climate Access Fund. Lynn has been the primary visionary behind the Solar for Us Community Solar Project here at this school. Lynn is board chair of the Maryland League of Conservation Voters, a past member of the Maryland Commission on Climate Change, and a founding member of the Baltimore Sustainability Commission.
Well, and I apologize, on the way over here, my glasses broke, so you'll have to bear with me. Thank you, Megan, and thank you, Governor Moore, sincerely, for your climate leadership and for this historic executive order. And it's truly an honor to be with all of you here today. This is kind of funny. Woo! As we speak, a team of people is on the rooftops of this school working to install the Solar for Us project. This is a beautiful campus. It will be made more beautiful with solar panels. I'm going to say a word about the Climate Access Fund, and then I really want to tell you about the impacts of this solar project. The Climate Access Fund is a nonprofit green bank that develops and finances community solar projects like this one in and for overburdened communities. This is really making me crazy, across Maryland. All of the solar power generated by projects like these rooftops will go into the electric grid, and about 150 to 200 low to moderate income households will sign up to receive a 20 to 25% discount on their electricity bills. Over the life of the project, roughly a generation, this means that community members will have more than $1.1 million to spend that they otherwise wouldn't have had. This project, which we expect to be operational in September, will also bring economic opportunity to the community through jobs, shared ownership of the solar project itself, and energy efficiency services for program participants' homes. Greenhouse gas emissions will be reduced by about 27,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. What does this mean? Fun fact, if you lined up 6,400 passenger cars between here and Columbia, Maryland, you would be, the project on this rooftop will be taking away the greenhouse gas emissions of all of those cars driving for a year. So that is a lot of greenhouse gas emissions. Finally, as you're witnessing today, Solar for Us at Henderson-Hopkins will provide students with a truly experiential learning opportunity. These economic, climate, and educational benefits were made possible first and foremost by our extraordinary partner, the Henderson-Hopkins School, under the leadership of the EBCS board and the wonderful Peter Canham. This school has fully embraced the vision for this project from the very beginning. We also have a whole team of philanthropic and private funders, investors, and lenders, some of whom are here today, and the Maryland Energy Administration to thank. We're so grateful to those individuals and their collective willingness to be early adopters of our vision for this unique project. And now, thanks to Governor Moore and this executive order, along with, President Biden in Washington and his Capital and Inflation Reduction Act, much more planning, programming, leadership, and capital are now being made available to Justice 40 projects like this one, which offer much-needed climate solutions and economic opportunity to communities that have far too long, in the words of Governor Moore, been left behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. And last but certainly not least, I want to introduce our final speaker, Kim Coble. Kim is the Executive Director of the Maryland League of Conservation Voters. Kim joined Maryland LCV in 2019 after previously working at organizations such as the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. Kim currently serves as a co-chair of the Maryland Commission on Climate Change.
I have to tell you, this is awesome. As somebody that does a number of public presentations, I think coming to a school has got to be the top ranking. Wonderful. So thank you. And thank you, Principal. I want to first start by thanking Governor Moore and his administration for their leadership to ensure that Maryland is going to tackle the climate crisis in front of us. But secondly, I really want to talk to the students that are here today, because what's in this executive order you're going to have the benefit of realizing over your lifetime. This is about you and your future, and whether or not we're going to have a bright and beautiful future or we're going to have to bear the brunt of inaction. And today, I am very proud to say we have hope. We have lots of reasons for hope. The three that I see here today, bar none, is the unprecedented leadership of Governor Moore and his administration. The executive order, you've heard, is the most comprehensive executive order that a Maryland governor has ever issued. And I think it's really important to understand the word comprehensive. This executive order is far-reaching. It is all of the state government, all of the agencies, every staff member, every part of our state resources is going to be captured in this executive order. That is comprehensive. The second reason I have a lot of hope is that it's clear that the Moore administration is going to get there through actions. The governor is calling on his administration and every state agency to plan and measure and act. And Equally important, the executive order creates an accountability system for those actions by creating the first ever climate subcabinet and an annual report on implementation of those actions by the state agencies. It's the only way to ensure that we are doing all we can to meet our state climate goals. And the third reason that I'm very hopeful is that the Moore administration is deeply committed to equity. And this executive order prioritizes climate equity and advancing environmental justice by working to address the disproportionate amount of impacts of climate change on underserved and overburdened communities, including funding. So these three aspects of this executive order are unprecedented, and given the students' leadership in this room, given the energy in this room, given the innovation in this room, I believe we can all stand up and be with a great deal of hope and gratitude for what is happening today. And with that, I want to thank the governor and his team for their leadership and their partnership and their commitment. Thank you.
Thank you. So next, we're going to transition over to signing the executive order, Governor Moore and Secretary Lee.
It's done.
So this completes our program for today. Thank you everyone for attending this beautiful event, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.